Good morning and welcome to the Hyperlocal SEO Webinar. My name is Grant Gould and I'll be presenting this class today. And I'm just going to jump right in and get started. I am recording this session and will be hopefully, depending on how I do, putting it up on our Facebook page for people to be able to review it after the webinar. I'm going to jump right in. As I said, my name is Grant Gould, and I have been in the real estate industry since the late 80s. I got my start in the educational side, seminar business, with some different real estate coaches. One in particular, Joe Stump, I spent about 4 years with. Joe really had helped me build my foundation and my passion for helping real estate agents. And I left Joe to actually go and work with Brian Buffini, who I spent a little over a year with, and also, of course, have the greatest respect for. From there, in '97, started a company called Real Estate Village. We were actually the very first customizable template website product, and because we were the first, we actually started that company when we initially called a real estate agent. They would tell us that they already had a website. And when we'd ask them, oh, what's your web address, they would say coldwellbanker.com, and didn't see the need for a personal website. We very quickly became the #1 company in the space at that time and merged with homes.com in March 2000. I actually stayed with Homes for about a year and then left there to work in the advertising agency business, actually specifically digital agency, which was a family-owned business. My family owned it actually, and I spent about 3 years. Primarily, what we did is we did lead generation for franchisors to help them build their franchisee base or generate leads for new franchisees, as well as we worked with a lot of the franchisees to drive in-home consultations and other types of leads to those franchisees. Not as much in real estate. It was more in the home services area, budget blinds, CertaPro painters, Roto-Rooter, companies like that. From there, in 2007, I was asked by my former partner of Real Estate Village, which was John Perkins, to start a new business. That business is Home Junction. I am the co-founder and senior vice president of sales and marketing. And as I said, we were founded in 2007. That's when we incorporated. We are one of the top data companies in the country when it comes to real estate. We aggregate and manage very large data sets in all different categories, from the shapes you see on a map that represent a subdivision, a school attendance area, or a neighborhood, to things like demographics, schools, both public and private, as well as all different housing layers from the entire country of characteristics, which we have in our database, and we use for various things like our AVM, house values plugin, to just managing the MLS data that we get through all of the vendor partnerships that we have, or vendor. I wouldn't call them partnerships; they don't like that word. But all of the agreements that we have with MLSs to be able to access the data and then be able to offer it back to the real estate community as a service, which is referred to as IDX. We also are one of the top WordPress development companies in real estate. We have our own very specific proprietary real estate theme, our platform that we build on, and it is actually in the 3rd generation now. We just recently released actually what we call Boulevard 3. And we are continuing to improve on that product, as well as we have, it's actually 11, that's a typo. We have 11 exclusive WordPress plugins from IDX plugins to school research plugins, as well as the various other ones. Actually, one in specific that I'm going to talk about today is called Geo Farms. It's one of our newer plugins, a few months old, and it's actually it was developed very specifically for SEO, which is why we're going to talk about it. In addition to that, we are also an SEO and SEM marketing services company, which brings me to what we're going to be talking about today, which is SEO. So what are the main ingredients for a successful SEO strategy? These are my main ingredients. These are the main ingredients that our company follows, and that is that it starts with being hyperlocal, having a hyperlocal strategy. Do not try to target something that is too competitive that you will never ever be able to rank on. Know what your keywords are. So know exactly what behavior you're going to target. It's what's referred to as a head term. And you should pick a head term that becomes the focal point or the focus of the page that you're building. Write great content. That is absolutely the most important thing, is to write really good content and make sure that you're very, very relevant, and that you're also, at the same time, following different best practices in the way you're writing, which I'm going to talk about a little bit today. Page quality. Page quality is something that Google has continued to move towards over the past few years. They started moving towards it and moving away from things like link popularity when they released the Panda algorithm change, the big one that they did. From there, they also released Penguin, and then most recently, Hummingbird. All of those had elements within the new algorithm changes that really measured the page quality or site quality. Having dynamic page information. Google does not like to see static pages. If it's a static page that every time they come back and visit, there's no change, what Google interprets that as is that you're stale, that your stuff is getting outdated, that every day that passes is a day older in your content and more outdated, and the more outdated your content is. And then, of course, on-page best practices. We use actually a product called Yoast, and it is something that we include in every one of our site builds. We highly recommend it. I've been using it for a long time. I use it in all my own SEO, and it really helps me follow a guideline to make sure that I'm not missing anything, and then I'm lining up with what is subscribed that Google wants to see. Now, SEO is theory. It's we do not know the exact ingredients as far as what page keyword densities, and that does your keywords really need to be in the first paragraph, et cetera, et cetera. It's all just theory, because obviously Google does not tell us exactly what we need to do to be on the first page of Google. So all of the people in the profession all are constantly testing and getting their results back, and then talking about them on their blogs. And then there's a whole community of SEO specialists or search engine optimizers that collaborate on a kind of like in science, and then compare notes and then write about it, and then all of us just kind of continue to practice getting it right. One of the challenges is that even when you start to get it nail down the formula, what does Google do? Google changes the formula again and kind of tweaks it a little bit to keep us all so that none of us actually have the exact formula in order to be successful on Google. At the end of the day, though, Google wants to see great content. That's one of the most important ingredients. So let's start with the first one here, which is targeting a hyperlocal area. So it depends on what part of the country you live in. In some parts of the country, there are no subdivisions. So I would really like to look at it as targeting communities. And what's a community? Community can be a lot of things. A community does not have to be a official geographic area recognized by a government agency. That is not what you want to target. In some cases, some of those areas aren't even known by the people who live there. A great example of that would be an area I lived in La Jolla a few years back, and it was called Beach Barber Track, which the first time I ever heard it, which was 6 years after living there, I had no idea. I didn't even know what the person was talking about, which was actually a local real estate agent who was explaining to me what the 15 different neighborhoods of La Jolla were. I actually believed for 6 years that I lived in Wind and Sea, which is what everybody who lived there believed. And if you asked anyone who was local, they wouldn't have a clue what Beach Barber Track was. So it's really important to from a marketing point of view, what you really want to do is you want to target what's in the minds of the consumers that you're trying to reach. That's the best way I can put it. And that can be the name of a street that people relate to or refer to. So it's really about the people that live there or the people that want to live there. How do they refer to where they live? And that would become your target. That's what you want to be able to, that's what you want to target in your SEO. When you're building pages, you're building them to be like info or profile pages for each of the communities that you want to target, and you want to use that lingo that the people who live there use. A good example of that would be, a good example of that would be an area that I grew up in back in New York, which was in Rochester. Didn't grow up there, but I lived there for off and on, throughout my life. And at one point I lived on Alexander Street. Or if somebody asked you, what part of town do you live in, you would say, if you lived in that part of town, you would say, oh, I live over on Alexander Street. Alexander Street was actually more than just Alexander Street. It was all the off streets, the side streets all the way down it. And it was a popular place to live in Rochester at the time. And it was kind of artsy, and people, who lived there, they identified themselves as Alexander Street people. So that would be a good example of that. Now, in this particular instance, this area that is being targeted by one of our clients, Dan Conway, is a subdivision, and it's actually one of about 40 subdivisions in the Carmel Valley area. That is his core marketplace, is Carmel Valley, the corridor. And this particular area, which I'm going to be talking about a little bit, which is why I'm referring to it, is called Carmel Country Highlands, which is right there, and there's a little subsection of the overall, the bigger area, which is Carmel Valley. And it is one of the many different pages that Dan has built on his website, or that we have built on his website, that he is ranking very, very well on Google and actually gets a lot of traffic from. What are all the advantages of hyperlocal? One we talked about is there's less competition to it. So there are less competitors trying to rank on the more hyperlocal opportunities. All of the big players like Trulia and Zillow and Realtor and Homes and Redfin, and all the others, they are all kind of duking it out on a little higher level, geographic level. They're trying to, get on, they're trying to win the first page, first ranking on, things on bigger terms like San Diego Homes or San Diego Condos or even Carmel Valley Homes. So they're spending a lot of their time and resources focused on that right now. So that is why, as a real estate agent, an individual, you might not ever, stand a chance of competing with them on that level, but because that's where their resources are going, this is where you actually have an opportunity to win at least this battle and actually get on the first page of Google. The other thing that Hyperlocal benefits you from is the quality. So the quality of buyers you will get into your website are much higher than people that do broad searches. There's actually lots of research to support this. And when the more specific somebody is about what they're looking for, the more likely they are to convert. And that's because they're not thinking broad. I'm not doing a search for San Diego homes or even Carmel Valley homes, because even with 40 subdivisions in Carmel Valley, that is still a pretty broad search. When I start searching for Carmel Country Highlands homes, I'm honing in on exactly the area that I want to live in. So the traffic you're going to get from it is much better than on the broader terms. You also can target effectively. You can target sellers. So if you do a search right now for Carmel Country Highlands home values, or property prices, or property values, or anything like that, you will find Dan Conway on the very first page of Google. And you'll find him on the first page of Google on many of the subdivisions that you do that kind of search. What's important about that is, again, if I'm a homeowner in Carmel Country Highlands, and I'm thinking about selling my house, what kinds of things am I going to search for? Well, probably the first thing that comes to mind is, what's my house worth? I want to know what kind of what I'm looking at, and if you can rank your website in the top of Google under those types of keywords, then you are going to have a shot at actually reaching that consumer well before they ever are listing their house. So you get an opportunity to start marketing that person, where they get introduced to you. The other thing is, when you are in a listing presentation in that particular neighborhood, like if I were to go to a listing presentation in Carmel Country Highlands, if I'm Dan, one of the things that Dan does is Dan goes on Google, he searches for Carmel Country Highlands homes, and he shows that seller, that potential seller, that he is at the top of Google when buyers are searching on the internet for houses in their neighborhood, or more specifically in their hyperlocal subdivision. That is a very, very powerful listing tool, and it's one that I know Dan really enjoys. So, making sure that you're targeting the right keywords. That is also critical, and it is one of the main ingredients. So in order to demonstrate this, let me go over here, and I'm going to actually jump into my browser here for a minute. So there are different tools on the internet. Yoast actually has one that's built into it if you don't want to use any of the available tools. They used to be free. There used to be a bunch of different keyword research tools that were free to the public. Unfortunately, most of those have kind of vanished ever since Google has is kind of honed in. They were actually the last person to provide a free keyword search tool, and now it's actually it's not public anymore. You actually have to be logged into Google, specifically AdWords, in order to use it. It is a good tool, so you can set up an account with Google, even if you do have to add your credit card. But even if you never even advertise, it would give you access to do this research. Until recently, you didn't even have to put your credit card in, but actually Google now requires that as a part of the sign-up process. I'm actually going to show you the tool, and when you're logged into AdWords, you can go under Tools once you're on the main dashboard, like I am right now. And when you click into Tools and go to Keyword Planner, there are some other tools like Word Tracker is one of them. It's about I'm not sure. I think they actually charge about $49 a month now. There's also a tool called Raven Tools, raventools.com. It starts at $99 a month. It's actually the tool we use internally to be able to do all of our research. Unfortunately, we don't pay $99 because we have an enterprise version of it. But it is a great tool, if you want to spend the money to get, the more professional tools. This tool that I'm going to use right now is just, again, part of, showing you, not just what to target, but how we have targeted on a client site, which I'm going to refer to here in a second, and again, this whole idea about hyperlocal targeting. So once I'm in Google's Planner, there's two things if you're going to use Google's Planner, there's two parts to it. One is you want to type in Forge, the area that you're going to target. In this case, we're going to type Rogers Forge, and Rogers Forge is a subdivision in the North Baltimore suburbs. We're also going to come down here and we're going to choose real estate as our category. And then we're going to click the button that says Get Ideas. When we get the results back, we're going to switch from ad group ideas right here to keyword ideas. And what you're going to see is this is actually coming out of Google's index directly, and it's showing me what Google is matching up in the category of real estate along with Rogers Forge. Now, a lot of them you'll notice don't have, it's not real estate listings in Rogers Forge necessarily. These are actually real searches that are happening on Google's network. And because Google is so localized these days, and everything's very geocentric now, you can actually do a search like real estate listings living in that area, and you'll get back local results. So it's moving more and more away from the use of geographic identifiers, only because consumers are now understanding that they don't need those, and everything's becoming very geocentric. So in the case for the purposes of this webinar, I'm actually going to not hunt through, 800 different keywords, keyword phrases, because we don't have time for that. And I'm going to go ahead and narrow in on the keyword phrase for sale that I know we were targeting on the client site. So I'm going to go ahead and refresh and get new ideas. And then you'll see up here at the top, one of my the first result here is Rogers Forge homes for sale. Now, what's important and what you're looking for when using this particular tool is, and really anything when it comes to keywords, there's two things you're looking for. One is average search volume. In this case, this keyword phrase gets 70 searches per month on average, according to Google. You'll also be looking here for what the competition level is. And the competition level is low, and that's what we want. We want a low competition level if we're going to get on the first page of Google. So you'll also see that it's interesting. You can see the search volume that starts in January, stays pretty consistent, stays consistent all the way through May, and then it starts to decline into the summer and back into the fall and winter again. So that is very consistent with seasonal patterns. So in the different search volumes. So in any case, this is the keyword phrase we used on a client site, and I'm just going to go ahead and do a Google search for it right now in another browser window. And what you'll see is that on the first page of Google, there is one ad, which is Zillow. They are running an ad targeting Rogers Forge, homes for sale, real estate, things like that. And then you'll see Redfin is the first organic listing here. Then you'll see Realtor.com is second. Zillow is third, and Chris Drewer is number 4. Chris Drewer happens to be our client. And if I go to this web page, this is using the GeoFarms plugin to create a profile page for Rogers Forge Homes for Sale. Now you'll also see up here under the Neighborhoods tab that he is actually targeting a total of 6 different areas. They're all suburbs of Baltimore. And what makes this page work, which actually I'm going to talk about in a minute, I'm going to actually jump back into our slideshow here for a minute, and I'll jump back to that here afterwards. But before I do that, what I want to talk really quick about is just the 2 different types of keywords so we can wrap up this keyword conversation. And the 2 different types of keywords are what are called head terms, which Rogers Forge Homes for Sale, even though it only has 70 searches a month, it is still considered a head term because it has a pattern to it. It has 70 people that search for it, on average every single month. Bigger head terms would be like San Diego Homes or San Diego Condos. So the second type of keyword is long tail. And maybe some of you heard people mention or even know it, completely know what long tails are. But long tails are the random things that people enter into the search bar when they're looking for something. And a lot of times what a consumer will do is, and you probably do the same thing, I know I do, is you'll start with maybe a broader idea, but then you do the search, you're not really happy with the results, and then you add another word. And then maybe you even add another word or another word as you're trying to narrow in on what you're looking for. And those would be called the long tails. You may be the only person who ever uses that whole set of words that month, but maybe other people use them, and they even use them in different order, or they use almost they use four of the of the 6 words that you use. All of those are long tails. They're the random searches that people do when they're sitting in front of their computer. Now, according to RankWatch, as well as other, actually some people have that number bigger, but according to the most recent study I've been able to find on it, 80% of all search traffic is long tail searches. So the large majority of searches that are taking place make up are long tails. The reason why you want to use the long tail strategy, again, it is less competitive than the people that are targeting head terms. So the more of a pattern, the higher the higher the average search volume. Typically means that there's going to be a lot more competition because everybody is targeting that thing. So the other big reason why you want to do it is because of conversions. I said earlier that there's a lot of evidence that supports the idea that the more specific somebody is, the more words or letters or characters they use in their search, the more likely they are to take action when they find what they're looking for. And you'll actually see this is actually a study that was published a few years ago by Search Engine Watch. And SearchEngineWatch.com is one of the leading authorities when it comes to search engine optimization. It's actually a blog. It's actually a site I follow, and there's a lot of the articles and the bloggers there that I really love reading. They're very knowledgeable, really know their stuff. And this study actually measured the different metrics based on the number of characters the searcher used in the searches they performed. And you'll notice that from 11 all the way down to 25 characters, the the conversion rates were 18 to 35%. So the more characters up to a point that the searcher used in doing their search, which again equates back to the whole long tail, the more likely they were to actually take action and convert as a lead or whatever, or as a purchase. So so that's really interesting. One other thing about long tails is they'll actually help you write. So if you're sitting and you're trying to figure out what you're going to write, because you have to come up with at least 300 words according to Yoast. That's the number that they recommend that the number of words you use. It's very difficult to write about a little tiny area. So so this is a good example right here of the use of long tails in good SEO writing. You'll notice in blue, Carmel Country Highlands Real Estate and Carmel Country Highlands Homes. Those are the head terms that are being targeted in this article. So this was actually written for the example I used earlier. That was Dan Conway's webpage and how it was ranking. This is the actual content that's used in that ranking to get him on the number one position on Google. And so we have the two different dueling head terms that we were able to incorporate. And then in addition to that, all of the words that are in yellow are all long tail words. So they're all words that are relevant and are associated, can be associated with Carmel Country Highlands as best we could do. So you can see that there are a lot of long tail words in this, content. So you'll see that there's countryside, there's hills, there's horse trails, party homes. They happen to be the developer of that community. There's also townhomes. There's fitness garage, amenities. There's Derby Hill, Bridal Ridge. There is for sale. There's luxury. There's condo. There's the word quality. There's parks, playgrounds, golf courses. There are every word that we could come up with that we could associate with this particular area is weaved into the content itself. Now, I just said that it can help you write. So this is how you should write. This is what I suggest, is that as you're sitting there trying to figure out what to write about, this 300 home complex or whatever it is, what you want to do is pull out a piece of paper and a pencil, or open a Word document, which I would open a Word document. But before you start writing, just sit and think about all of the words, 1 and 2 word combinations that you can come up with, like the builder's name, the style of architecture, anything that you can come up with that is characteristic of the place you're writing about. And you'll be surprised that you can, if you do this exercise, you'll be able to come up with a lot of different word ideas that are associated or relevant to the area that you're about to write about. When you do this and you sit down and then you start to write, it will actually help guide your writing much more effectively. And instead of getting writer's block, you'll now have this list of maybe 20, who knows, 30 words you could come up with that now you're going to incorporate into your writing. And you'll find that will actually help you quite a bit in your writing. So one other slide here, or one of the other ingredients here before I jump back into my browser is is quality. The quality score of a website is probably or web page is probably one of the most important things that you have to be aware of right now. Google has been moving more and more towards quality because it is the one thing, if they conquer it, that the hackers or the black hats, they call them, the black hat SEO people, will not be able to spam or spoof on. The reason they moved away from link popularity is because there became link farms and link bombing and all of these different methods that completely skewed the page rank, because people were able to artificially drive up their link popularity through all of these methods that Google eventually could not continue to contain. So what does site quality mean? To Google, the real obvious ones, without getting into the weeds too much about this, and the ones that you should pay attention to, are things like bounce rate, time on page, repeat visits, frequency of visitor. All of those things to Google indicate that the web page that you've created is of high quality and relevant. What Google does is Google actually connects the dots in their algorithm. So if you can imagine, it's actually very simple and logical. A user types in keywords into the search bar. A set of results come up, 10 organic or whatever. And Google connects the dot between, okay, search keywords, results. Then Google further observes through all the analytics and stuff that they are very deeply involved in, the interaction that user has or the average user has on those 10 results pages. And at the end of the day, things like if the average person clicks, uses a set of keywords, reviews the results, clicks into a site, and then immediately hits the back button, which is called a bounce, then obviously, if that's happening over and over again, then obviously the keywords that are being targeted or the Google's indexing them under are not as relevant as they need to be. So that is a negative towards your web page or your website. Now, let's say the same searches are happening on average, and the person not only doesn't bounce, or the average person doesn't bounce, but they're spending more time on that page, on average, everyone is, than any of the other pages on that page. So what Google does is say, oh, well, that search is highly relevant in our organic index to this web page, because people not only stay there or don't click back out of it, but they stay there longer, and they come back more frequently and more often and repeatedly to reference that page in regards to the keywords they were looking for. So those are the dots, the simple dots that Google is connecting. So let's talk about the last ingredient here, which is all of the on-page. So there are two different types of SEO. There's off-page SEO, which is link building is one of them, and then there's the on-page. Internally here, we don't do any off-page stuff. We do all on-page SEO, and that's been our focus. It seems that all of the off-page stuff constantly changes, and you go down a path. Maybe some of you have experienced it. I have lots of friends in real estate who, for the longest time, they enjoyed their wonderful results at the top of Google, and then one day they just disappeared. And because their SEO was based on an off-page strategy that Google, made a switch in their algorithm and wiped out, all of the people that were utilizing or taking advantage of that off-page strategy. The one thing that seems to be very consistent about Google is that Google wants good content. And that is the one consistent thing that you can count on, and that Google will reward you for if you provide what they're looking for. And so the on-page stuff is important. And with that said, actually, I'm going to go ahead, click back over to my browser. And we're going to just take a quick look at starting with Yoast, and then I'll switch to the front of the site. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and do that first. So just to actually continue down the road of site quality, So some of the things are, the things that we provide here at Home Junction that really help with that. Again, the name of the game is how long can you keep a person on the page? Can you keep them on your page longer than anybody else that you're up against or you're competing against? So all of our tools are designed to be interactive, and once you get somebody to your website, that you're actually able to engage that person and keep them engaged longer than any of the competition that you're up against. So this tool right here, like I said, it's called Geo Farms. It's one of our newer plugins. It's actually the next generation from what was called Neighborhoods. And really, we changed the name to Geo Farms because really at the end of the day, what you should be focused on and the mindset you should have is that you're virtually doing geographic farming. You should be picking areas as hyperlocal as you can be, and you should be marketing online the same way as if you were to start mailing postcards or want to try to get as many signs in front of everybody's house as you possibly can. It's no different. If you were going to go out and door knock, you're just doing it virtually. So we redesigned the tool to be more to model that a little bit better. And this page actually has the option of the map that you can turn on. What's important about this map right here is that it follows the Google's local targeting, local labeling stuff. So it does help with the whole hyperlocal idea. As well as the map, you can see there's actually a number of tabs down here. The first one is the actual content tab that it opens up on. These actually are customizable, but in this particular case, it's set up this way. The second tab here is the tab that's the lifestyle search tab, and it features Spatial Match, which Spatial Match is actually one of our oldest products and one of our founding products. And Spatial Match, even though it is Flash, and which is no good for mobile, it is still a very powerful tool because what it does, it actually hides itself now. That tab will. Anytime somebody's on a mobile device or a device that does not support Flash, it has been coded now that it just won't appear. But for anybody who's still on their desktop, this tool keeps people engaged and entertained longer than any other tool that we've ever developed. And it's a very powerful tool for that. And again, the name of the game is keeping people on the page longer. So it keeps people on the page longer because, as you can see, I can just, once I start clicking around, there's just a lot of information I can look at. And I can just keep clicking and, change my results. Maybe I want to narrow, into this neighborhood, to, properties that are 3 or fewer bedrooms. I can click on, all of the, schools and, other data that you can actually set up to preload on the page. So right away they have things to click on. And again, it's just a powerful tool for increasing your time on site, your time on page. This tool does the same exact thing. It's called Lifestyle Finder. There is actually an upgraded version of it in the near future coming out. And in this particular case, just having all the demographics. Again, it's interactive, it's engaging, it's fun, and it again helps keep people on the page longer. Even doing things like a comparative analysis. If I want to, look at Rogers Forge, let's say, compared to, San Diego, and it'll actually give me a side-by-side comparison of the two places. Recent sales, again, is another widget we've developed. It's a plugin, and again, just like the other ones, it's a map-based, it's visual, it's engaging, it makes people want to click. Even if I sat here and I clicked on all of these little dots right here, just to see what all of the properties sold for recently. In this case, it's for the last 90 days. That is X number of clicks that are keeping me on the page longer. And again, the name of the game is keeping people on the page. In this case, I can actually also, look up, property values in this neighborhood. So this is really if I'm a owner in this neighborhood, that's going to be something that we've seen in the behavior analytics that will engage, people that are looking up a particular property, in the market. And then we've got, of course, our schools plugin. Again, it keeps people on the page longer. Every one of these tools is designed for that, and all of that really are some of the main ingredients to making sure that you're moving up in the ranks. I see over and over again websites that with pages that are done right that might start on 7, 8, 9, because they have decent content, and over the course of months, like this site's actually about, or this page right here, this Rogers Fords page, which again is number 4 now on Google. It's only about 5 months old, so that is a pretty young page. But what happens is, as Google watches over time those analytics, and they continuously see the correlation of those dots I was talking about, they start moving it up in the ranks. And even about 3 weeks ago, I think, when I was doing this webinar, it was like 8 or 9. So it jumped from 8 or 9 in the last 3 weeks to now being number 4. And it will probably continue to rise. In most cases, it does, unless it just can't really beat out the Redfin and such on those quality metrics, which it may not. It may not ever beat them on it, or it may. Other things I would recommend putting in here are video. Video is huge, and you can go and open up a YouTube channel, and you can go out with your phone and just shoot video. If you're there on a Saturday for an open house or whatever, get there a little bit early or stay a little bit after and walk the neighborhood and give people a tour. It doesn't have to be, something that's all polished and stuff. And actually, I personally prefer the, more gritty, more, the more real, real TV, or, Blair Witch Project type videos than the ones that are really polished with, this, that have, music behind them and stuff. If it were me, I would be just walking around with my camera in my hand, pointing out the park. You see all the kids playing out there. It's a great place, on a Saturday to come out and, meet your neighbors. It's got a wonderful community pool. Let's walk over there and check it out. In the clubhouse, there's actually a full gym. You can see that they have a lot of great equipment. That's the kind of video I would be creating. I would talk about, my listings, and post those. And with YouTube, you can plug in. It's a YouTube plugin that just has a little short code, and you can just drop it in one of these little tabs that we provide, and anything you put into the playlist, so you can create different playlists in YouTube, one for each of the neighborhoods that you're setting these profile pages up, and then all you got to do is assign the playlist to that video, and automatically, instantly, it's will be added to that tab, and people can start viewing that video. So videos are great because of why? Because they keep people on your page longer. So even a photo gallery, taking pictures, photo gallery and video, why not? But anything you can do to keep people on your page longer, I cannot stress that enough, as you can tell. The other element on this page is listings. So this is using our RIDX, our responsive IDX, and these are in this area. I believe it's every 2 hours that we do updates. So every 2 hours, the data is changing. And one of the things that I talked about in the very beginning that I did not have a slide for, but it's not having static content. You want every time Google comes back to visit your page, if you can, you want them to see something different. because what that does is that shows them that you have a dynamic page that's fluid and it's changing all the time, and it's not stale. That's how they interpret it. So having, like you can see, this is a new listing right here. So having these listings constantly rotating as properties come off the market, new properties come on, is very, very powerful to your SEO efforts, and will actually help you tremendously. Now, one of the other things, again, as I'm looking at all these houses, right at the top, you can do things like we have it set up in this particular case where it's showing me there's an open house coming up on this one. Again, it's showing me that this one's new. If I click into any of these houses, there's 9 listings right now. This also completely adds to your SEO. The reason why is because these 9 houses are so keyword rich, it's not even funny. The words 5 beds, 2 baths, the price range, square lot, the word acre, Rogers Forge, townhome, open house. Come down here and, there's the description of the house, old forge. Come into this area right here, the property details and features, and it's just full of keywords. So again, because Riddix is indexable, the listings are, when Google hits this page, which they do often in this particular case, because this page, the page that it's attached to, which is Rogers Forge, is on the first page of Google. And so again, it continues. It's all part of the same formula, which is all about getting on that first page and then getting as close to the top of that page as you can. Now I'm going to jump over really quick to the back end of this page, which is the dashboard, and just really quick, while we have about 7 minutes here, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions on chat. So when you're looking, when you're in your dashboard, you'll see over here there's something called Geo Farms now, if you have one of our newer websites. And in the Geo Farms, you have the ability to, to view all areas. So when you first when you first click on Geo Farms, you'll see this if you have areas built. So again, Rogers Forge is just one of the areas that are being targeted. Now in this particular case, we did all the SEO, so we wrote all the content for these pages and set the pages up so that they were properly indexable. I will say that if you're really busy and but you want to do this, it's a great value. I only charge $300 a page, one-time fee, and it is the gift that keeps on giving. If you're confident in your own writing and ability to do it, then by all means, do it yourself, which is why I give this webinar every week for those that want to do that. But if you're not and feel like you would just rather have somebody else do it, again, it's great, and you can call up whoever your contact here is in the company, and they can help you get set up. If you buy actually more than 5, I believe it's a $25 per area discount. So that's there's you can save money on doing that. So with whether we do it or you do it, the goal is to get all of these little dots to be green. And those little dots are the Yoast SEO tool, and you'll see again over here on the right-hand side, it says SEO good. And if I scroll down, which I'm going to actually close that up, if I scroll down, you'll see that this is actually the plugin, the component for it. And if I'm on the general, what you'll see is that this is just kind of the general information. Here are our target or our focus keywords, the ones that I showed you that are getting 70 searches a month, which I wouldn't shake a stick at. I hope that's the right term. Anyway, Rogers Forge homes for sale is our focus keywords. What this does is guide you through at a very high level to make sure all of these are yeses, which is the article heading needs to have the keyword phrase in it, and that article heading is right up here. That is your article heading is at the top, the big field that you can type in up there. Second is your page title, and this is my page title right here. And I want that to be at least 40 characters, but no more than 70 characters. And then also my URL, I also have a yes there. And in my URL, there it is right there. If it doesn't match, I wouldn't do it after a page has already been, existed for a while, because then, Google will have a 404 on that page because the page changed. But, if it hasn't been too long and it's not in the index yet, then you still have the ability to edit this. And in this case, we're using all the keywords. In addition to that, also the content, having your keywords here in the content, used. And there's actually a specific keyword density range that you want to stay within, which I'm going to cover here in a second. And then, of course, the meta description. This is the meta description right down here. And in this particular case, we are using, you're limited to 156 characters. We have 2 characters left, so we used almost all of our characters. One of the things that you would need to do, as well as use your keyword phrase in your description. If you notice here, we have Chris's name and his phone number in the description. The reason for that is because when Google ranks a page in their results page, this is what in this case, this is what that listing is going to look like when people see it on Google. So you can see that it's using the page title, which is right here, as well as it's using the description. If you do not put a description in, Google will randomly pick from your content what your description will be, and you have no control over that. So you definitely want to have a description in your pages. The thing about putting the phone number in there, as well as his name, the name personalizes it. So, this is a real person and not just another one of these, massive websites, portals. So they see that in the results. So for the person who, really wants to, personal connection, that will actually sway people into the site. The other thing it does is because we're listing the phone number, listing the phone number will actually pick up random calls, because in many cases, maybe somebody doesn't, they see the phone number and they go, oh, well, that's convenient, and they'll call it. Or if they're on their phone or cell phones that support, the click and dial, it makes it extremely convenient without having to go into pages and search for phone numbers to be able to immediately try to make contact with somebody. And having the name with the phone number, nobody wants to call a phone number if they don't know who they're asking for. So you want to make sure you not only put your phone number, but also include your name, because that will actually make people more comfortable to actually take action on that. Again, I don't like to call a phone number that I don't know who I'm asking for. It's awkward. So kind of switching to the more detailed part of this plugin, you'll see that that all of these are green right here. All of those are green. All but 2 are green. The top one here, it's not green because it's the stop word, but the word for is a part of that, is a popular part of the homes for sale search phrase, so we're using it. The other is it's the Flesh Reading Ease test, which we're scoring at a 55.7, which is okay. All of these other ones, I'm going to go through them really quick because we're almost out of time, is the keyword density. In this case, we're at 1.81. That is how often in this content we used the keyword phrase that we're targeting. In this particular case, they're saying we used it 6 times. Yoast is counting. That we've never used the keywords on any other pages. You do not want to use the duplicate keyword targets or duplicate titles and such on any of the other pages. Each one should be unique. Data description content. Our data description contains the primary keyword phrase. the data description is considered good when it comes to competition. Again, it's not just for the keyword value. It's also for getting people to want to, encouraging people to want to click on your listing versus the other 10 on the page. The page title, 40 characters or less, 40 characters or more, up to 70 characters. We're within those boundaries. The page title contains the keyword phrase, very important. We're using 356 words. Again, they recommend 300 minimum. I would recommend anywhere from 300 to 600, actually, if you can come up with that many. Keyword appears in the first paragraph of the copy. So again, right up here, where is it? It's in the, there's Rogers Forge. I know it's here somewhere. Rogers Forge Homes for Sale. So we're using it in the first paragraph. We're also not only using it in the first paragraph, but we're also using it to satisfy this requirement, which is in a subhead right here. So this is right here is H2. If you look over up here on the panel, and so we are using it as a subheading, and Google likes that, according to the theory. Whoops, clicked on the wrong thing. Outbound links. Again, a lot of people always ask me, why would I want to link to other people, to other sites? Don't I want to just keep them on my website? There's only one answer to that question, is do you want to rank high on Google? Because Google gives you points for it. I would suggest linking to a wiki page, an HOA, local schools, anything that's non-competitive. But the more you can link out to good reference, relevant information that supports the main idea that you're targeting, the better Google the more points Google will give you. So if you want to rank high, don't be selfish. Share other information. Just don't share your competition's. The images have the alt tags in them, and so whenever you add an image to a page in WordPress, it gives you, when you're adding that image, gives you the ability to create alternative text, which is called the alt tag. And in this case, you can see that we're using Rogers Forge Homes for Sale. So we're meeting most of the requirements according to what Yoast says that we need to do, which again, Yoast is always adjusting, and you'll notice that when you have Yoast in your plugins list, that there's constant updates happening. It's being updated all the time, and that is because there's constant algorithm changes happening. And so Yoast continuously, I've actually even seen where I had some greens that actually turned back to orange because of an update that happened, and Yoast changed the algorithm ever so slightly because of believing that because of the new theory that was out. Anyway, that does it for my webinar today. So I'm going to go ahead and open it up to questions. There is a little chat window that you can open up, and if you have any questions, you feel free to ask me now, and I'll be happy to answer them. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, great. That's not a question, but thank you. That was helpful. All right. Well, no questions today. Well, feel free, if you do, you can contact our help at homejunction.com. Also, one last thing I want to inform you of before you leave, if you're still looking at my screen here, we do have a training area. We've been building more and more trainings into it. If you want additional training, want to sign up for other things that we're doing, you can see that you can go to hjitraining.com. If you go to hjitraining.com, then you will see the list of different training sessions that we have. Right here, as you see on my screen. And we are adding more. We're getting a bigger and bigger, class selection. I actually have a few that I'm trying to get out. One is on YouTube marketing, as well as some social marketing ideas I want to share with people, and as well as pay-per-click. So I'm hoping, I'm working on them right now, actually. And if I had a little more time, I'd probably have them done. But running a company it usually takes a lot more time than you would expect, as I know all of you know, because you all run companies. So let's see. I do have a few questions that came in. As far as the recording goes, if you go to facebook.com/Home Junction, you will actually be able to find today's recording there. That's where I'm going to post it, and I'll be doing that. It is. Let me see. Hold on one second. Business page. Great. It is right. Let's see. It is right here. So if you go to our business page, you will actually find it right at the top when I do post it. I'm actually going to go ahead and type it over to everyone right now, just in case. Actually, that is not the right page. Give me 1 second here. There it goes. Is that it? No. Let me see if I can get out of that. No. Shoot. It's on our advertising page, so it's a little not quite as straightforward. Anyway, it's let me try this again. Go back. There we go. So if you go to that page, you will actually be able to find in the next couple hours the recording of this. Let's see, any other questions? And can you clarify the GeoFarm is another name for neighborhoods? Yeah, GeoFarm neighborhoods is our older version of our plugin. It's actually somewhat the same plugin, except we upgraded a lot of things on it. It's a new version with different features, but GeoFarms is the newer version of neighborhoods. And again, if you want more clarification on that, I would highly recommend that you call our support team, and they can talk with you about that, give you more clarification on that. What was the yellow keywords type? I know that blue was head terms. The yellow keywords were the long tails. Those were all the long tails that we incorporated into that content. So that's what it represented. And I did that just to illustrate, so you can visually see what I was talking about. I'm trying to ask a question, but I guess you can't hear me. Oh, no, I can't hear you. It's only chat. I have there's too many people on the line, so I have the call on presentation mode. What if our GeoFarm map of one of our areas isn't pulling up in the drop-down? If it's not pulling up in the drop-down, that's because we haven't gotten to that area yet. You can actually request custom areas. There's a charge for it if you want to get it to the top of our priority list. I believe it's $25 for an area. And then we'll actually do the research, draw it out, and then add it to the next update so that it is available, which happens every couple of weeks. The updates do. But yeah, I apologize that we don't have it. We're going as fast as we can with our Geo team to build all the maps for the United States, all the different categories. We're actually even working now on school attendance areas. That's our newest layer that they're also focusing on, or part of the team is focusing on. So we do have coverage in a lot of. We're starting to get coverage in some of the main metros for that. We want to continue to do that, and it's an important part of our business, and, because this is real estate. It's an important part of your business. There were approximately 77 keywords in yellow text and 3 in green. The green were actually, I forget why I put them in green. The green were, actually, let me pull it up and I'll tell you. Let's see. So the green, show my navigation. Oh, yeah, the green were just the integration of the actual area again, even though it wasn't necessarily in conjunction with the main head terms that were being used as the main target. That's why it was in green. Any other questions? All right. Well, I appreciate everyone's time today. And again, I'll post this on Facebook in a little while. And I hope you have a great day, and hope you join me or one of my other trainers again for some more education. Thank you and have a great day. Bye-bye.